Are we there? Are we there yet? Are we there? No. Are we there yet? No. Nope. We are actually here as of now. So very stoked to have all of you here. And as you all start to filter in, presumably, we will be getting things started shortly. So I am going to do first get this up and running, obviously, since there are, yes, we have 7 peeps already. Que paso, everyone? What is up? What is up? I'm just going to share this in the social media stuffs, and then we will be more or less set to rock and or roll properly. This is a big moment for me, and I'm so very just humbled and honored to be sharing it with all of you, who I've had various aspects of palaver with over the years. Yeah, it's been years now. That's the crazy thing to me. I mean, I did the original Why You Should Read Stephen King. It was a 69th birthday special back in September of 2016. Crazoid, but yeah, it is. It's always an honor, everybody. So I'm just gonna throw this in at a post or and please, feel free to get palaver going with all of yourselves. Say what up to everyone, show some of that love. You know what I'm talking about. Now live for Hail number 100. I'm just going to say Hail 150. There you go. Hashtag Hail 150. Bam. Joys of modern technology. Come on. Come on. There you go. And newsfeed. So obviously, I'm going to give it a tiny bit of time for everybody to filter in. I see we've got 11, we have 12. Oh, so very happy to take a peek at the comments here very shortly and see who is in the hizzow. It's funny because I'm on Pacific Standard Time, and so this is like the afternoon for me. I originally really liked to do these at 7, 8 o'clock my time, but as I became more acquainted with my friends in the UK, like, Jacob and Mark and, Mikey Mnemonic and guys like that, I was like, oh yeah, you are so far ahead of my time that it is legit unreasonable for me to try to do something at that particular hour, because so many of the peeps that I want to have that palaver with, there's like no way for them to take part. So yeah, but, so this is basically, it's not as immensely celebratory as the 100th episode, where I changed to this tower of books instead, where I had all kinds of shout outs to different people, like my girlfriend at the time, various fans who had done cool artwork and things of that nature. So it's not going to be, I'm not, I don't have like a little bow tie going down. I'm not sipping the Campania or anything, but it's still a really, really big thing for me to have hit 150 episodes of this program. And so I was originally like, yeah, I just want, like favorite memories from all the different, you're not fans, you're my friends, you're my supporters, and so supporters of Sai King, more so than even me. I'm just a humble, dude who loves talking about the guy's work, It's none of this is possible without everybody who is supportive and encouraging, and also very passionate and opinionated, which is the biggest thing that I really love so much about the Hail to Stephen King Ka-Tet, is the fact that all of us are, whether you're just getting into it and getting your feet wet, a few books in, whatever, or whether you've read just about everything or accomplished that monumental feat like it took me all those years to do. It's really, we have, there's really not been a lot of hiccups as far as, people not being respectful, and just, I guess Pet Sematary came a little close, didn't it? And even that has kind of grown on me with a couple other viewings and so on. But everybody, hey, as I all too often say on here, art is subjective. And yeah, I just always appreciate all of your opinions, whether I'm very well acquainted with you or you are just kind of new to the process. So now that we have over 20 people on, I'm going to jump on and start reading the live commenties before I kind of, start this up proper. And okay, who all do we have in? Mark Pearson, there's my dude. Congrats, once again, I hope fatherhood is going splendidly, sir. Despite, well, it's probably long nights and all that stuff, but hey, you're doing great work, sir. Lewis Kurtz, what is up? My dude Jacob Dowse, what's up, man? Rob Soul. Yeah, one of the earliest Tales supporters, and also who did a review of the Dark Tower film for us here on the horror show, which is pretty dope. Congrats on 150 eps. Thanks very much, Mark. I appreciate you. Awesome shirt. Just finished reading through Night Shift not long ago. Yeah, I actually, for its anniversary last year, did reviews of every single, as the book of the month installment of Night Shift. I tackled, what, like 3 stories at a time, I want to say, if I remember correctly. Happy 150. Thank you, good sir. Gary Kirby. Hello, Sai Jaime. Thank you so much, man. All right, we got Chris Bethel. Happy 150. Oscar Perez. Vila en Fuego. Yes, I try. Let's set the world ablaze with awesomeness and passion and positivity. I hope you're all having a fantastically frightful day. Rachel is here. Yeah, what is up, girlie? Lady with the most badass Dark Tower nails I have ever seen. This time is definitely great for me. No complaints here. And yes, I'm just very honored to have all of you spending a little bit of time with me, about an hour or so here on this very fine Tuesday. I'm at the tail end of 11 straight days of coverage with CISA, where we were going out to the Phoenix Film Festival every single day. I was driving like 20-something miles every single day to get to this festival and watch between 3 and 6. Saturday, I watched 7 movies. I was there from 9 in the morning until midnight, just watching, reviewing, filming, all that fun stuff. JC Carville is here. Hi, all having a King-esque day today. Yep, it's Tower Tuesday, yo. What y'all talking about? Nick P, what is up? John Wick, what's up, buddy? How the Phoenix Suns doing, bud? Oh, well, thanks for the trolling, sir. I greatly appreciate that. Maybe they're going to get a #1 pick for the 2nd straight year and still F it all up. That would really break my heart. Fuego, Nicholas. Hey, Nicholas Adam, what is up, man? What is going? Chris Bethel says, threw me off with the time. It's 6:24 here. So you're, I'm assuming, on Central Standard Time. But yeah, it was 1919 Eastern Standard. That's what I was going for. Okay. And Believe in the Hype 1408 is one of the best King movies that people don't bring up much. Yeah, that's definitely of the underrated variety. I definitely agree with you there. Andrew T, what's up, Sir Thompson? Good to see you, man. Yay, first live hail to Stephen King I've caught while sitting in, La Llorona. It was pretty good. We reviewed it last night. Congrats, love the show, says Kazahana 225. Secret Window is also underrated. Yeah, when I did the anniversary review for that recently, I completely concur. Thanks for the kind words. Loving fatherhood. I'm so happy for you, Mark. That is rad status, dude. Robert Duell. Yes, long live the king. Amen to that. Okay, took a break from Buick 8 to tune in. Hey, thank you so much for taking time away from someone as important as Sai King to actually tune in and say what's up. Hey, buddy, what are your thoughts on John Wick Chapter 3? Well, this isn't a John Wick stream, homie, but yeah, in Fuegotainment, which is my personal channel, I'm going to be doing a review of it. I just finally got around to watching 1 and 2. I did like a little doubleheader, and that was cool. So if you have any interest in stuff non-Sai King related, this is a Sai King discussion, though. So just watch the OG Pet Cemetery. Yeah, Jacob, I saw you posting about that, and you were like, I have to show my friend why the original is so good and, give some context and stuff. Yeah, Zelda freaks me out too, man. The Mist might have the most messed up ending ever. Agreeance with that, and it's one that King actually championed. And we were also discussive about that Pet Cemetery ending being so completely different. But I got to give Miko Hughes credit. When we talked to him at Mad Monster Charlotte, when we traveled from Phoenix to Charlotte to be their official press for that event, he hinted that he was like, "Who's to say they don't kill other characters? Besides Ellie." Without spoiling anything for those who haven't seen it. Sebastian Silva says, congrats from Chile. Muchas gracias, güey. So much appreciated. Yeah, crazy ending to The Mist. I don't know, Believe the Hype. Have you read Under the Dome? Yeah, Under the Dome. Anyway, Jerks, Brandon, what is up? Good, sir. I'm trying so hard to get caught up on viewing, Brandon, and those shorts that you sent me, a couple months ago. I feel like a dumpster for not having watched them yet. But I mean, we have a full page list of patrons we're trying to catch up with, all this different stuff. It's fun. Feelings on the new Creep Show. I'm exceedingly stoked, especially for the sheer fact that we are getting gray matter. My God, I'm just over the moon for that, and the fact that also the Joe Hill story about the aquatic dinosaur, which makes me think of Big Blue in that X-Files episode. That's apparently directed by Tom Savini, which he just announced the other day. Really, really cool. Okay, likes the remake. New Pet Cemetery, good. Worth my time and money. Yeah, it's It's good, but not great. I appreciated things about it. It's another turn of the wheel. Rob knows what I'm talking about there. And I have to at least get to the official proceedings proper here in a moment. But, okay. Well, yeah, it looks like everybody is doing some cool discussion and whatnot. So I'm essentially now going to jump into some of my favorite moments from this show. And obviously some that I hope that y'all have had the opportunity to catch. And if you haven't, this is just going to be, because I have people who are newer to the show that have asked me, you know, they're like, hey, you should do an episode about this. And I'm like, I did already. Because, man, I mean, I've been doing this is the 3rd season of Hail to Stephen King. And for any who are late joiners, this was a show that basically started out as me being, you know, in the midst of my journey along that path of the beam and reading all of the Sai King stuff in its published order. And I was like, you know, Cecil, I want to do a birthday episode for Stephen King. And I did that in September of 2016 for his 69th birthday. And I know I put it up a couple days after his birthday. I want to say I put it up on like the 26th or the 27th of September. Me and Sai King have birthdays one day apart, which is kind of a trip for me. So yeah, the September 20th being myself, and then King was born the 21st, so the day after me. And I was like, I'm going to do a birthday special, and I'm essentially going to call it Why You Should Read Stephen King. And it ended up just working unintentionally as a backdoor pilot for the eventual show. And even the show didn't start up properly right away. I did an episode which was all about what you should read first. And that's in my top 10 for episodes that I've ever done, just because of the fact that, you know, it's I want you all to go back and watch it if you can. We have a playlist here on the Horror Show called Stephen King Focused episodes, and it's really all of the Hail episodes and then all of the stuff we've done with the extended family with Marcia and Cecil, since they both like King a lot as well. And so, yeah, it has pretty much everything King that we've ever covered there. But yeah, what you should read first was where I was talking, I was arguing for why Salem's Lot is the better first read if you've never read anything Stephen King related before. So that's a video near and dear to my heart, because it's when I was really, the gears were starting to turn about what I wanted to eventually make an ongoing show, which is what inevitably happened. But I did a dueling review of unreleased King stuff for Throttle and for In the Tall Grass, both of which he co-wrote with Joe Hill. And yeah, I thought that was a fun episode, even though it didn't get a ton of reviews. And, you know, I also did A Face in the Crowd, the one that he did with Stuart Onan, I want to say. Yeah, the guy that he wrote Faithful with. And so the 3 of those, 2 are going to be released in Full Throttle, which is Joe Hill's. Like, we have so much King family stuff coming later this year. I did a full video about it a couple months ago at the beginning of the year of 19. Everybody knows the significance of the year. But just to give another quick rundown, I mean, seriously, May 7th, we have the illustrated edition of The Colorado Kid that's coming out. That's exciting. That's cool. Oh, boy, September 10th, we have The Institute, the new King full-length. Boy, what else? TV shows, we've got Season 2 of Castle Rock. We've got Season 3 of Mr. Mercedes. June 2nd, Joe Hill's Nosferatu, which the book had references to Pennywise and all kinds of cool things like that. That's exciting. Dr. Sleep was moved into this year after originally being scheduled for January. Now it's coming out November 8th, just a couple months after the September 6th release of It Chapter 2. Plus, we still have a few different things that don't have an actual release date as of yet, but are supposed to be coming out in 2019. One is the Netflix film for In the Tall Grass, which I think it's one of the messed up maybe the most messed up short story that Joe and his dad have ever written separately or collectively. Lock and Key, the adaptation of Joe's thing, is still coming. So, I mean, this is a year just, it's living up to the reputation of being the year of 19. And so that is super, super cool. But yeah, when the show started, it wasn't necessarily supposed to be an ongoing thing. It was just going to be, okay, a couple King episodes here, a couple King episodes there. And through the first season's worth, the first year, I was doing this once a week. I was doing it on Sundays, and I called it your weekly worship for anybody who has been around and can understand the hilariousness of that blasphemous reference. But yeah, it was a Sunday show originally, and then throughout the year of 2017, as just the whole King craze was re-emerging with It Chapter 2. Unfortunately, the Dark Tower movie. I know some people disagree, and once again, you know, it's all It's all subjective. You can think as you like about it. But yeah, so beyond that, we also had 1922 on Netflix, which was great that year. Also on Netflix, we had Gerald's Game, which was great. And so it was a big year for King-related stuff. And that's when, you know, it was like a reascension into the consciousness of popular culture, and people maybe who hadn't been paying as much attention to his stuff previously, maybe executives at some of these film studios and television markets and stuff like that, and you know, just different releasers of that sort of entertainment content were like, you know, let's get back on the King bandwagon. And so for that reason, Cecil and I started discussing it, and we were like, let's just start doing it 2 days a week. Do you think you have enough material to do Hail to Stephen King 2 days a week? And I was like, of course. I have a spreadsheet with dozens and dozens of different episode ideas, and that's not even including rereads on books, reviewings of films, and suggestions from, you know, lots of you viewers and stuff like that, which is greatly appreciated. And so, yeah, when I segued into the second season of the show, I started doing it on a Terrifying Tuesday, Tower Tuesday as it's also known, and then Spooktacular, Scarific Saturday. I always switch that up a little bit. So for anybody who's like a little newer to the scene here, that's basically how the King coverage grew that I was putting together. And I mean, I guess I already mentioned one of my 10 favorite segments from the program, which was, you know, what to read first, and then, you know, the 69th birthday special, which was the pilot. But I mean, I've had the humbling honor of doing some panels at the Phoenix Comic Convention that I led, all about Sai King. So in 2017, I did a Road to the Dark Tower movie panel, which was really fun. And I had a group of different, you know, really passionate people about the series, and we all discussed it. Last year, we did a Pet Sematary panel. We did a panel about The Stand, and I got all Randall Flaggied out, which was fun. So, I mean, those have been some of the most rewarding experiences with just putting so much dedication into like studying King's work and everything. So that's definitely like some honorable mentions of some favorite moments from the show. But I've done a series called Films That Forgot the Face of Their Father. And it's basically all of those sequels that didn't really have any bearing or context or were based on anything Sai King related. And so that was like A Return to Salem's Lot and Pet Sematary 2, and Sometimes They Come Back Again, and for more. And those ended up being a lot more fun than I was initially anticipating. I thought they were going to be total suctitude, and yeah, they were enjoyable for the most part. I think Sometimes They Come Back for More was probably the worst well, actually, no, scratch that. Creepshow 3 was the worst turd that I watched. But I picked up copies of Pet Sematary 2 and A Return to Salem's Lot because those I actually found pretty fun. And then later this year, we're going to be finally tackling, because Marcia and Cecil want to be a part of it, all of those Children of the Corn sequels. Oof, they're pretty rough. So yeah, the panels were some of my favorite episodes that I've done. Films That Forgot the Face of Their Father, that series, which is pretty much all wrapped up now. Oh boy, the ranking videos, those are always fun. I did everything from, you know, ranking novellas to short stories to I did a top 3 favorites video, but after The Institute comes out later this year, and after we're getting past this and we're going into a new decade of Stephen King, which is crazy to think about, 2020, man, that just blows my flipping mind. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm gonna be doing a new comprehensive ranking of favorites. I don't think the top 3 will necessarily change. The unholy trinity, as I always call it, of Pet Sematary, It, and The Stand, those are pretty firmly in place. Although stuff like Revival, Doohickey, Salem's Lot, those bite on the ankles just a wee bit. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a new ranking video, also a new ranking video of this decade that we are about to finish here later this year. Boy, what are some other ones I've ranked favorite villains? I've done some, man, so many. It's really mind-blowing to think about the extent of all of these episodes, because I have a spreadsheet of what every single episode subject was, and I was looking back through all of those leading up to this live stream, and I was just like, damn, you did do that episode. You know, boy, the anniversary coverage has been a lot of fun for me to do, and that's actually something I'm going to ask all of you about, as a lot of you in the Facebook group. I have a book of the month thing that I've been doing, but there's too many things celebrating prolific anniversaries this year to have just one book a month. So I'm actually thinking of starting some polls and being like, okay, The Talisman is celebrating a big anniversary this year, and it was just announced to be adapted. Revival is celebrating a big anniversary this year. Hearts in Atlantis is celebrating a big anniversary this year. And so maybe just choose a few of those entries that I know we can't fit because of how many months we have available, and just be like, which would you guys like to have as the group reading for us all to discuss in the monthly live stream? So, you know, all of those anniversaries, The Stand, The Stand, Pet Sematary, The Shining was an interesting one. Just last month we did The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Night Shift was a favorite of mine. So, I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of fun anniversary coverage of both film and of written work. So, boy, a few other favorites of mine. You know, I re-uploaded from my personal page a Dark Tower flashback episode where it was from years and years ago, where I was on the set of Sweet, which was the adaptation of a Stephen King / Scott Snyder and Raphael Albuquerque property that we did our own fan film about. And that fan film kind of took place in the Western continuity of things. And I had the privilege and the honor to play the title character, co-created by King and Scott Snyder. And that's a great comic. If y'all haven't checked out American Vampire, damn is it good. But I remember I was finishing Dark Tower 7 as we were in the midst of the few days of that shoot. And I just filmed a quick little few minutes about the feelings that I personally had as I was making my first trek up the tower with Roland. After King is like, you know, turn back all you who, you know, don't want a bummer ending or whatever. I think the ending is perfect. The ending saved that book for me because I did not like what they did with Crimson King and a few other things. But that's for another video. Watch my review, because in the year of 2017, approaching the film, I reviewed every single Dark Tower book. I was reading one a month, and that was when the show was really just finding its footing, I think, was with all the Dark Tower coverage. And, you know, that's another thing that I have to say. A lot of my favorite episodes that I put the most work into on here are some of the least watched. And I think it's because it's obscurity of topic and stuff like that. But I did a 3-episode series all about the music of the Dark Tower. And I did 2 of them, which covered the music mentioned throughout the book, which is everything from, you know, Donna Summers to ZZ Top to the Beatles to Twilight Time. Boy, that makes me think of a time in my life. But so I did 2 episodes covering half of the books in one and half of the books in the other. And then I did a 3rd episode, which was music inspired by the Dark Tower. So I was talking about, like, Demons and Wizards, I think is the name of the project, Touched by the Crimson King, that album. I found a used copy at Zia Records of the deluxe edition of that, and I have been just jamming the hell out of that in my car. The track Terror Train, so good. And there's various other artists. Boy, did we get hit with copyright stuff all across the board for that episode. But it was a labor of love, and it was one that I just put so much work and heart and passion into. So if y'all never got the chance to check out, it's called The Music of the Dark Tower. It's in 3 different segments, and it's it's one of my favorite sets of episodes that I ever put together. If y'all had not got the chance to do any taking peeks on that. So, you know, it's been a moment since I've looked at any of the comments, and I've mentioned a few of my favorite eps and whatnot. But let's get a quick look, since I see some other peeps are on here. Okay, I'm trying to get back to about where I was. Okay. All right. Still haven't seen Pet Sematary yet. Okay, I think that's about where I was. Okay. Fully understand. Thank you, Jerks, for being understanding, Sabrina. All right. Finally got the wife to listen to King. She's listening to Revival now. Have you done a video on it, Chris Bethel? There's going to be a video sometime this year about Revival, because it's one that we all talk about with good reason in the Hale Facebook group, and it sees a big anniversary this year. I'm trying to remember if it's the 10-year anniversary. I want to say it's the 10-year anniversary. So it's going to be one of the books of the month. We just have to decide when the hell we're going to do it. Okay. Also, King fans, we were doing a Stephen King art show this summer. Hit me up if interested. Yeah. If you're in, I believe you're in the Philadelphia area, Brandon, if I remember correctly. So if you're anywhere close to being able to travel for something like that. It's an art exhibit for a charitable cause that Brandon's doing called Nightmares and Dreamscapes, and it sounds very, very interesting. Sleeping Beauties just got announced to AMC. That's funny because they have been talking about developing Sleeping Beauty since before it was even published. So, and that's, you know, just a segue, that's another of my absolute favorite videos that I did. Even though I didn't particularly love Sleeping Beauties or anything, I very distinctly remember the Hail to Stephen King episode where I titled it, I finally read everything Sai King. And it was such a joyous moment after such an arduous yet fulfilling and enlightening journey. So that's another one that I have here on my list of personal favorite episodes. Mark Pearson says, I found this show while looking for Dark Tower reviews, and I've been hooked ever since then, became a fan of the horror show. This was about 3 years ago. That's so awesome, man. And, you know, I'm glad that we become buds over the time as well. And, you know, that's the type of palaver that I think is really, really lasting and just, you know, very special. It truly is. Saw Return to Salem Slot poster in Sabrina. Yeah, there's a dude, Larry Cohen has his audience. And upon a second viewing, I liked it because I just like Michael Moriarty, and he's also in Larry Cohen's stuff. He's in Q the Winged Serpent. He's a fun actor, man. He really is. Yep, September 6th is so far. I know. Mark Pearson, thank you for the compliments on the shirt, dude. This is one of my favorites that I got from somewhere online. I can't remember off the top of my head. Flanagan doing Dr. Sleep gives me hope. I completely agree. Man, I can't remember when I first discovered the show. I remember watching one episode and then just binging a whole bunch of them. That warms my heart, good sir. Nick Oakes, I was really hoping you were going to make an appearance, man. You have been a staunch supporter of both the horror show and Hail, and it's greatly, greatly appreciated. I see some palaver going down. Okay. Always wanted to tell everyone what I thought of the Dark Tower versus it, but haven't. It's a touchy subject. That says Rachel. Okay, Heil, yes, Heil, word slinger, love. King and Clive Barker, says Nick Oakes. Well, it's a King discussion, but I've been slowly trying to get through the Books of Blood, and Barker at the Moon is a new, because we've got Run to the Hill, and then I'm going to be starting Barker at the Moon, it's going to be fun. All right, stopping in real quick on my dinner break. Much appreciated, Daniel Corey. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I'd go with King and Neil Gaiman. Yeah, Neil Gaiman is one that aside from like some of the Sandman stuff and American Gods, I haven't properly explored. Mr. No Mercy, Andrew Mercer. We missed you around the horror show, mate. Very, very much so, dude. Okay, I think I'm nearly caught up. The Stand, and 11/22/63. I'm assuming that's Mark saying what his Holy Trinity is. Yeah, 11/22 would probably be in my top 5, along with, oh boy, that's just tough. Salem's Lot, and yeah. So look forward to a new ranking from myself. Have you seen Stephen King Graveyard Shift? Yes, I have. I own it. It's wacky. It's boy, the guy Brad Dourif, who voices Chucky, he's got a funny role in that. I gotta say, that's an interesting one. Okay, so I've got my homie Malito. What is up, dude? I just want to say that I really think this program, Hail to Stephen King, has become dear to my heart, enriching my love for Stephen King by listening to the amazing coverage done by Fuego. Shucks, man. I'm just here to inform and just pass along the good words. So puts a lot of effort into it. Hail to Jaime, man. Mercer, you were my dude. I miss you, man. Thank you so very much. Curious what you're thinking about these NBA playoffs so far. Upsets. Can we get a Jim Butcher and Stephen King collab? I'm not sure, Brandon, who Jim Butcher is, so I'm gonna screenshot that so that I can actually check out that author, because I'm not completely familiarized. And by sharing my love with all the fellow members of the Facebook group, I really mean this. And that's the thing, just the genuine palaver and just the cool heart and good nature of the predominance of the people on there. That's what really just makes it an inspiring and an awesome thing. Good to see you here, well, buddy. If you've ever seen Sleep, please do the Talisman. I need a push to read this, and this group will make it happen. Well, Rachel, it sees its anniversary this year. Okay, so yeah, it came out in '83, so it's the 35th anniversary of the Talisman. They started doing a comic book adaptation at one point in time that I was really stoked about, and they just didn't continue it. I'm guessing it just didn't sell enough, and it was during one of those lulls where King stuff wasn't like as insanely in vogue as it is right now, but you know, they say everything comes back around, the wheel of Ka, right? And it's like, you know, metal never really completely goes out of style, but it has moments where it's in the public consciousness more so, and then it fades back a little bit, and then it shifts back in, and, you know, it's like, what was that horrible Lars Ulrich quote, because I'm not a big fan of Metallica? He was like, yeah, metal is like herpes. It never really goes away. Ugh, that's a gritty one. Okay, still no love for my twinny beauties. I will champion them until I do not die. Happy choo-choo night. Okay. The ending was what it needed. No mercy. Heart-shaped nugget. Howdy, Fuego. I hope you're doing well, brother, and long live the horror show. Much, much, much appreciated. Humbled and honored to hear it, as I said. Okay, do all the DT again, but spoiled a lot. Mark, that's actually a really interesting suggestion, because with all of my previous Dark Tower reviews, when I did them in 2017, I was not doing spoilers. I was trying very, very much of the I was really very much just trying to be cautious, you know, fine-tooth comb and all that jazz about just ruining things. I was really just trying more so than anything to get people interested in reading the series, but that's a good idea. The one thing that I was going to do was Cecil and I did some coverage of the original Dark Tower comic books, and I think we just did Long Road Home and Gunslinger Born, but they went as far as going into, you know, the drawing of the 3 and just telling more of these side stories and like different takes of stuff. And I have really, really this year been wanting to just review all the Dark Tower comic books proper. I know Cecil isn't super interested in reading, you know, the Gunslinger and reading the drawing of the 3. I don't see why he's not interested. I'm trying to convince, but at some particular point, I mean, yeah, it's going to be happening this year. So just stay tuned. I have an immense list of things for more coverage later this year. Okay, Heartshake Nugget says, do you think that Pet Sematary would have been better if the director of it had done it instead of the Starry Eyes directors? Not necessarily, because I also have mixed feelings about Andy's work. You know, his take was very different too, and yet people were nowhere near as judgmental, which I feel like the tone was at least the same in it, especially with the stuff, you know, with our Losers Club, in comparison with the original miniseries. It was the tone that I felt was much colder and just felt dead in the new Pet Sematary film. But for a different turn of the wheel, some people like that. And if I can grow to appreciate the goddamn Mist TV series for being a different turn, I mean, I don't know. Maybe give Pet Sematary another view once it's on streaming or whatever. But don't spend your money to go out and see it multiple times. I wouldn't suggest that. I didn't even pay to see it the first time, obviously. We were impressed. But, okay, Rob says, Bright Giant has a song called Jake and the Gunslinger. Also, check out Shooter Jennings' video for his song Gunslinger. Yeah, that's in my video about songs inspired by the Dark Tower. Please, 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 if you get the chance, go watch my music of the Dark Tower videos. Those are so near and dear to my heart, despite the low viewership. Nick beat me to it. Yep, Jacob knows. Andrew T says, I was watching since episode 1. Thank you so very much, man. Okay, here's a name I haven't seen. Angus Johnson says, would you like to see a Duma Key movie? I'm wondering why the hell it's not happening yet. There was a rumor a couple months ago that the guy who did Dolores Claiborne was actually going to be behind the project, but unfortunately, just like the Sleeping Beauties announcement that apparently some people are saying has found its destination at AMC, it's like we see these initial announcements and then we don't get more details for a few months. Like, we didn't originally know that The Outsider was going to be on HBO. They just announced that it was in development from the same team behind Mr. Mercedes. Recasting Holly, though, man, I don't know what I think about that. But yeah, just like Lisi's story is going to pop up on Apple. Just like, I mean, there's so much in development right now. The ones that I'm just anxiously awaiting: Talisman, Duma Key, Revival. Josh Boone was supposedly working on that a few years ago, and we were going to have, as Charles, we were going to have, I believe it was either Russell Crowe or Samuel L. Jackson. They were basically going to be our 2 leads in it. So that's something I'm still awaiting. I would love to see a remake of Desperation. That's a shout out to Rob. And I would love to see The Regulators, just maybe make that a weird, like, little limited TV series. That would be interesting. So yeah, there's a lot in development, and I'm just to let everybody know, a few months ago I bought HailToStephenKing.com, and I've really been trying to think about how I want to develop it and what I want to do with it. And I really think that I want to make it a Stephen King news site. / maybe a spot for selling books, hardcovers, collectibles, things like that. I'm working on some Hail to Stephen King t-shirt designs. Originally, I was working on some ideas with the lady I was dating at the time. And, you know, some of those ideas are still like, you know, kind of bouncing around and whatnot. I have one in particular that when I was coming back from the festival the other night, I was just thinking about, and I don't want to spoil anything just yet, but another aspect that I'm really thinking would be cool for that website, once I start doing some construction on it later this year, is that I want people who are part of the Facebook group or people who are equally passionate about King to either do videos or small written articles just to feature on the page. And beyond just like a glorified message board, which is really in a lot of ways what the Hail to Stephen King Facebook group is right now. You know, it's a glorified message board. But what I would really like to have is, you know, people who can eloquently, competently, and intriguingly put their thoughts together on a particular King topic, whether it's a book or a film or television adaptation, or just, you know, whatever sweet topic you can think of, whether it's a video or a short article. I'm thinking that would be really fun to have just some editorial spotlights on hailtostephenking.com, along with just news write-ups and all that other stuff. It's the best time ever to be a fan of Sai King, aside from maybe the early to mid 80s, like 83, when he had so many films coming out. He had 3 books come out that year between Pet Sematary and Christine. And I mean, yeah, it's a good time to be a King fan. And The Talisman, how can I forget? But yeah, so that's just I went off on a tangent, Angus, after you asked about Doomickey, because Wireman is seriously like my second favorite Sai King character, aside from Larry Underwood. But yeah, that's a different thing. Okay, one episode I loved, says Jacob, was the Sleeping Beauty's book tour. That was one I was going to mention because of the fact that that was my pilgrimage, as I called it, and just being able to go and interview fellow like big time King fans who have been like there's a lady that I talked with. She has another Facebook group with way more membership than mine, but she has always, since I met her at that, we've kept in touch on Facebook and whatnot. And she has been, and I know some of you guys are members of it. It's called Constant Readers, Stephen King, something like that. They have tens of thousands of members, and I can only imagine how many admins would be necessary. I'm even having trouble now with almost 500 people on mine, just keeping track of all the posts and everything and whatnot. And it's but it's that fun sort of work and attentiveness and honor. But you know, she gave some of my favorite sentiments in those fan interviews. And then another one was the much older lady that I spoke with, and she was like talking about writing Stephen King and, you know, getting lettered responses from him and all this stuff. And she showed her cool bag. And I mean, those are just some of my favorite moments like that I put together for this. That was, I'm glad that, Jacob, I'm glad you dug that episode, man. It's a personal favorite of mine. It was one I was going to mention on this countdown of favorite moments. That was a ton of fun. Okay, without this show, I wouldn't have the gas to read all the King books. Thank you all. It's been a great change in my life. Well, Nick, it's a motivational factor for all of us, and I appreciate the hell out of it. Oh, Blue is in. What up? Obviously, I champion Cemetery Dance all the time on here, and with good reason. I'm still anxiously awaiting the Sleeping Beauties Deluxe and the Night Shift Deluxe, waiting on an announcement about the stand. But they did a great collection last year called, I think it was late last year, called Fight or Fright? I'm trying to remember. Flight or Fright. And that had stories from everyone from Richard Matheson to, which just got another adaptation for the Twilight Zone, like the third one at this particular point. But Joe Hill is in there, you know, obviously Sai King, and an immensely talented crop of other people. It's a great collection. Cemetery Dance does, they are no sponsor of mine, but I sing the praises of them, along with Subterranean Press. That's another one that I'm a big fan of. So there's really passionate people behind not just presenting deluxe editions of King stuff, but various other terrific horror, thriller, and science fiction writers. I mean, but CD, those are my peeps. I love them. They have some of my favorite pieces in my collection that they were responsible for. So just want to say that this show inspired me to pick up my pace tremendously, finish all of King's published work. I am now on my last book. Interesting, Daniel, that it's Nightmares and Dreamscapes. So you're obviously doing the jump around aspect, which, hey, it's it's a different journey for everybody. And, you know, that's actually another episode that I have to mention that I put a ton of work into, a lot of research and careful consideration. And it's a video called the Dark Tower Kingverse Reading Guide and Order. And it's where I formulated a list of 19 different books that I felt like if you wanted to get the true full extent of just the Dark Tower niche of King's creativity, all of the tie-in books, whether more heavily tying in or not quite as much. I talked about all 19 of those. And then I also had lower levels of the tower, which are not essential reading, but are just, you know, like a little Easter egg here or there and stuff like that. And so, yeah, those, boy, that was a really fun video to put together, I must admit. And obviously I had to pick 19 books, and it was originally going to be 18, but then I thought of just a cool little way to slip in King's favorite number. So check out that video if you haven't. And there's obviously differences of opinion about order, but I just put a lot of care and consideration. And yeah, if you want at least to be steered in a particular direction with how to incorporate stuff like It and The Stand and Salem's Lot and stuff like that into the proceedings, it's yeah. It's a lot. It was a lot of fun to put that video together. All right, Munster Deacon says to share the good word of the Lord Pennywise and his prophet Stephen King. Yeah, Heil word slinger. I follow a lot of King pages, but the Hail to Stephen King page is the best. Small Ka-Tet is the best. Thank you so very much. And that is the one thing that I do appreciate so much about how closely knit and good friends I think so many have become. And yeah, it's been an awesome opportunity, and it's something that I take a lot of pleasure in. So. What's Fuego's dream collaboration? Stephen King and who? Wow, interesting inquiry, Mark. That's actually one that I'm not so sure I would be able to do off the top of my head. And that really, yeah, I'm going to screen capture that because that needs to be a full video as opposed to me just off the top of my head. I mean, Dizam, that's a terrific one. It's tough because I still really want to see that third in the Jack Sawyer trilogy that Tim and Stroud have been hinting at for a long time. It would probably not necessarily be a literary person. It would probably be me wanting to see somebody adapt his work for screen, because I mean, as much as I champion literature, and y'all know that that's something I do here incessantly, there's a different sort of beauty, and not a better beauty, but there's a different sort of beauty to the aspect of interpretation when done well and bringing images to life. I would probably want to see a favorite filmmaker of mine actually adapt a King story. Like, boy, maybe Linklater doing, I don't know, something more dramatic of King variety. Like, hell, man, have Linklater do Hearts in Atlantis, even though I know somebody else is working on it, like the actual story about them getting addicted to playing hearts and stuff. He likes his period pieces. That's off the top of my head completely without any deep consideration. Or, you know, I don't know, horror giants like Savini and, you know, anybody associated with him. I mean, that could, damn, how about Robert Rodriguez doing From a Buick 8? That could be bitching, man. Anyway, okay, by the way, I would totally be down for some Gaiman coverage. Check out Ocean at the End of the Lane. You know, Gaiman is a really tight friend of Joe Hill's because Joe spends a lot of his time in England, and those two go back and forth a lot. So I definitely need to check out some more of his stuff properly. Spoil the shit out of the Dark Tower in a live chat. Yeah, I'm seeing more and more people asking about that. I agree with you. All the Facebook page is great. Yes, you all are awesome. Chris Bethel nails it right on the head. Have you ever met Sai King? If so, any impressions? You know, the closest was when I did that book tour thing, and I was just a few rows back. And so I have never personally met him. That's a genuine dream. And I wouldn't, you know, people ask me all the time, they're like, what would you love to ask Stephen King or say to him or whatever, you know, if you ever met him? What would your question be? Honestly, I would just tell him, say thank you for being such a positive impact in my existence. I would just keep it simple as that. And yeah, I would just be happy to be in dude's presence, man, and just, you know, just say a grande gracias, as I, in such a silly manner, all too often say. Okay, Jake Hambrick says, hey, Fuego, I love watching your live videos. I'm currently listening to the Tommyknockers while I'm driving and then reading the book while I'm taking a break and enjoying it so far. I think Tommyknockers is underrated, man, and that's a remake that I'm quite excited about that James Wan's production company is putting together for screen. I didn't hate the original miniseries because I really liked Tommy from NYPD Blue in it. I thought he was actually a great guard. But aside from that, and also, you know, the chick who played Bobby, she wasn't bad either, but it was just too cheese and it wasn't a big enough budget and it needed to be more violent. It is a meandering book at times, but it's one that I really, really dig, man. Bethel says, I could not get into the DT series. Remember, it's subjective. Yeah, man. Not everybody has to love the Dark Tower. It's not horror per se. You know, it's a completely different approach, and it's a cool melding of different genres and stuff. Now you review horror, so Cecil should face the fearsome comic and be proud of the badge, saying, I made it and my sanity will be in check. Also, it'd be fun to see reviews of the comics. Yeah, like I said, we do have reviews of The Gunslinger Born and The Long Road Home on the channel already, but that's from a few years ago before I even started doing Hail Proper. We did those comic reviews. So even though most people didn't like the book, it would be cool to see it Tommyknockers redone. Yeah, it's happening. It is happening, Darian. It's on the way. It's another one of those many, many, many currently in development. Okay, here's another name I haven't seen. Wolf 2017. Okay, where did you get that awesome shirt? Night Shift is my favorite Stephen King book, and it was my first. It's funny because this was like one of the first I found at a thrift store many years ago, and I decided, not the shirt, the cover to the paperback, and it said Demon Within. Somebody had written that inside it almost made me think, okay, some parent found their child reading this and was like, nope, 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 nope. You know, especially if you read like Jerusalem's Lot. My God, I love that short story. And One for the Road, the two bookending Salem's Lot bits. Those are awesome. Okay. Kitty Queen, that's another name that I haven't seen. Way to go. Your videos are awesome because I agree with almost everything you say. Just finishing the Dark Tower changed my life. Yeah, it's a life-changing journey, I must admit. It's amazing, even if I do have some issues with the back half of it. Okay, Sarah Counts, another name I haven't seen. Awesome name. I love the name Sarah. It's because it's my mom's name. Hi, Jaime. Thanks for helping me connect with my dad by building his Stephen King collection. I was wondering which book has your favorite cover art? Well, the one thing that I have been subjected to with the Hail to Stephen King Facebook group, which has been super, super cool, is seeing different editions, especially from friends of mine, like in various parts of Europe and stuff like that, because some of those covers are just ridiculously on point. I must say, this might be like one of my absolute favorites, you know, from that Night Shift paperback. It's super rad. I love the original Pet Sematary artwork for the hardcover. That's another shirt made by the same people here. I want to say it's Fright Rags, if I'm not mistaken, that did this shirt. They also have the original It cover work with the green claw coming out. They did a T-shirt for that, and they did a T-shirt minus the lettering for the original hardcover. Man, I love the cover of Dolores Claiborne looking down into the well. That one is super, super awesome. You know, the Tommyknockers cover art for the UK edition is terrific, man. It's got the green glow in the forest and like the stones and stuff like that. It's pretty badass. Hearts in Atlantis has a great cover. You know, shout out once again to Blue and the Cemetery Dance guys, because the 25th anniversary cover painted art for their version of It that goes for hideous amounts of money now. That's a personal favorite. Under the Dome, even if I'm not particularly fond of the book, it's got great cover art. So that's at least a few. Yeah, Wolves, all the Dark Tower stuff. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's really tough. It's really tough. I'm just going to take it off the shelf because I love it so much. You know, this is another one though too. Yeah, that one. It's not illuminated very well. There's our buddy Rolly. That one is personal favorite. Oh, you know, this is actually, I finally tracked down one of these. I want to take it out of the box, but I don't know. I kind of don't in a lot of ways because it took a while to find that at a price that was reasonable enough to put on a credit card. But yeah, I was trying to take it off the wall. I loved it. Even though I don't like utterly adore the book, I love this cover art. And I also love how you see King at the various ages on the back. It's really, really badass. And yeah, Cell is another one that I think has really effective cover art. That's definitely one of my most underrated of Sai King stuff. Love Cell, even if Even if the film, I had some problems with it, but okay. All right. Just trying to get caught up before I get to just the last of my bits here. Fuego, will you be doing any coverage of Nosferatu when the first episode hits? Of course. Nosferatu premieres on June 2nd on AMC, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be doing episode-by-episode reviews along with Cecil and Marcia because all three of us have read the book and loved it. And, you know, I know it's an unpopular opinion because of the fact that it's a Twinnyverse to the stand. I love The Fireman. Honestly, I love all of the Joe Hill novels. In 20th Century Ghosts and in Strange Weather, there's a couple stories that I wasn't as fond of in comparison with others, but I gotta say, man, Heart-Shaped Box, Horns, Nosferatu, and The Fireman are all four absolutely incredible and so drastically different. Hail to the Hill is the thing here on the horror show as well. So if you want to see some of those reviews, check it out. What is the King site you were talking about that I want to sign up? Well, that's the thing. I bought a .com. I bought hailtostephenking.com, and I'm going to be developing it into a King fan site where it's been a big passion of mine trying to figure out how I can just expand this coverage and make it less about me and make it more of a community, because King's work, just like any sort of writing that just inspires people and just makes them happy, it brings people together. And so I'm just trying to think of better ways to bring Sai King fans together, bring all those CRs, you know, around, and yeah, and it would be just an awesome opportunity. Taking my time with reading all the King books. Also, book recommendations for somebody who likes books without too much cursing. I think Eyes of the Dragon was mentioned, says Sarah Counts. Well, yeah. Yeah, King does get a little rough in some of his books. Yeah, there's not really an immense amount in Hearts in Atlantis, and that's not full-on horror. I cannot recommend enough The Eyes of the Dragon, and that's another one that I'm like, where the hell is the adaptation? Sorry, Sarah, for the cursing right there. Where in the heck is the adaptation of The Eyes of the Dragon? It's a great adaptation. It does. I'm not sure if it's just the cursing or if it's more like taboo topics, like, you know, witchcraft and dark themes and things like that, because you have a tiny bit of that in The Eyes of the Dragon. But The Eyes of the Dragon was written for his daughter, and it's very much a family-friendly King entry. Honestly, another one, the last month, the book of the month, Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. That's another good one. If you have any suggestions in the comments for Sarah, please, as I'm trying to pull double duties. You know, 11/22/63 is another one that I don't think it's more thrilling and exciting and dramatic as opposed to being scary or dealing with. I mean, that's the thing. King writes for adults a lot of the time, and so there is going to be sprinklings of swearing and stuff. And he's not Quentin Tarantino, for God's sake. You know, it's not going to be like Pulp Fiction F-bombs a minute sort of thing. But you know, he does. There's salty language in his books, but yeah. So in any event, let's keep on rolling through the inquiries. Salem's Lot is one of my favorites. Yep, it's great. Stephen King and Barker says CK2D. Cap dies and what? Okay, we don't need that crap in here. Hammond 93. Sorry, no trolleys, por favor. You know, who's that rap tapping on my bridge? Yeah, you can get under there. Billy Goat's gruff status, yo. Now, if you were able to make a Stephen King crossover, which book or main threats would you pit against with each other in a shared story, no matter how crazy it would sound? Man alive. That's from Munster Deacon, and I'm screenshotting that because of the fact that that is something that needs careful consideration and needs to be a full-on video. God, character crossovers. You know, I loved Hound of the Baskervilles as a kid, but he already wrote a crossover. He wrote a story about Sherlock and Watson and stuff. It's in Nightmares and Dreamscapes, actually. Man, cool character crossover. It would maybe something with the detective guy from Barker's stories. Boy, I'm trying to remember. I just rewatched Lord of Illusions recently, and I know he's popped up in a few different stories of his, including that most recent one, which was a Hellraiser crossover, the Scarlet Tapes or something like that. But I cannot recall the name of the character, and I feel like a dunceoid. Boy, seeing him collab with Scott Smith could be interesting because I know he was a big fan of The Ruins, and also that's not specific characters though. The Ruins is badass, y'all, and also A Simple Plan. one of my favorite movies ever, adapted by Sam Raimi in the directing chair. Bill Paxton, rest peacefully, one of my favorite actors of all time. Billy Bob Thornton. That's a terrific movie. I'm waiting for another novel from Scott Smith, for God's sake. And that's actually something I've been talking about doing for a while, is further book recommendations on Fuego Team at my personal page, which I started doing stuff on again just this past year. So, but yeah, Munster, I'm gonna give that some more consideration for the sheer fact that, I mean, I would love to see King write like a Batman story, for instance, since I know he's a fan. I would love to see him working. I mean, seeing him collaborate with Scott Snyder, who did an amazing run on Batman for the American Vampire book. And I love Westerns, and once again, I mentioned it earlier, but if you guys have not read any of the volumes of American Vampire, but Volume 1 is the one which was co-written with Stephen King. I got to play one of my favorite characters, and it was like the biggest blessing ever, and credit to Cecil for writing a terrific script and directing the hell out of that. So, okay, come on, if that's true, why would you spoil? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Phil B. That's lame. Deserve an interview with Sai King, dude. All right. Here's a good one. What is your favorite fandom outside of Stephen King, other horror-related stuff? Aliens, the Aliens franchise. It's my absolute favorite, probably. Yeah, I have every single Dark Horse comic from Aliens. I have every crossover, not just with the Predators and Terminators, but I've got crossovers with like Exo Male War and Judge Dredd and Vampirella, and I don't know. I really respect the heck out of strong female protagonists, and Ellen Ripley was just the second Aliens film is my favorite movie of all time. It's like that and Clerks. Those are my two favorite movies ever, and so yeah. But once again, it's a Stephen King chat. But yeah, as far as franchises go, the Aliens franchise is, aside from the Kingverse, it's my absolute favorite. Even if I had major problems with Covenant, even if I just want an Aliens TV series, like they were apparently trying to get together at one point recently with the dude from oh gosh, what is the dude from Legion was apparently trying to get a TV series going at one particular point. But okay, the ending is just a big battle for. Okay, boy, I wish on my cell I had a better way to like ban people from comments and stuff like that. But okay, I've met so many amazing people. Some are so close to me. That was always something that I treasure, and I can't thank you enough, Fuego. Jacob, I can't thank you enough for just being a positive presence in the group, man. And yeah, your opinions are always insightful and super, super cool. But I mean, that's the case with everybody. There's really, with the exception of one person getting a little negative Nancy and talking some mad smack about Pet Sematary a couple weeks ago, there's really not been any nasty negative nature. There's been critical assessments of certain King things, but really it's never been anything beyond that. Everything has been respectful and insightful, and that's what I appreciate. But if you're telling people to like F off and stuff, it's not what King would want, man. It's not what I want. Luis Almodovar, hail to Mr. Fire. Gracias. Thank you so very much, yo. Now, the first episode of Hail I saw was the one in which you showed your Stephen King book collection. It was period where I was binge watching every YouTube. Yeah, that was a fun episode. That's where I was showing like the pop-up book of Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon and all my Cemetery Dance goodies and stuff like that. I also did two other collection videos, one about my DVD Blu-ray collection, which I enjoyed a lot, and then another one about my pop collection, which continues growing. This one was sent to me by somebody recently. He's got like the pipe through his head or something. This is one that I'm not sure I want to take out of the case because there's all these different variants that are really dope. And I mean, I've got my Low Losers Club crew up there and Pet Sematary stuff and Carrie and, you know, Torrance down there. But okay, I dig the cover for 1122. Yeah, that's actually a very good cover. I totally agree. Depends on if you're talking about the UK version or the American version, but I think they're both really good. What are your same favorite scenes from Stephen King book? Yeah, Lincoln Tunnel, dude, you are so on it, especially, Mark, for the sheer fact that Larry Underwood is my favorite character. I purposely picked up the alternate cover that they did of that issue of it was either the first or the second series of The Stand for Marvel. They did an alternate painted cover, which was so dope, of them going through the tunnel. I felt like the ABC series by Mick Garris did some legitimate justice. Boy, favorite passages. Jeez, you know, the beginning of Pet Sematary, book 2 or part 2 or whatever, where it basically talks about, and this is me verbatim. I almost want to, you know what? To hell with it. Let's, 1 second, everybody. Since when I went to the press tour, they gave me this really dope new copy of it when I went to see the film. So I just want to read this passage because I can't remember if I did it the previous time. Okay, yeah, so this is from part 2, the Micmac Burying Ground. And I still think that as far as the nature of horror, this is one of the best things that King has ever put down. So here we go. It's probably wrong to believe there can be any limit to the horror which the human mind can experience. On the contrary, it seems that some exponential effect begins to obtain as deeper and deeper darkness falls. As little as one may like to admit it, human experience tends, in a good many ways, to support the idea that when the nightmare grows black enough, horror spans horror. One coincidental evil begets others, often more deliberate evils, until finally blackness seems to cover everything. And the most terrifying question of all may just be how much horror the human mind can stand and still maintain a wakeful, staring, unrelenting sanity. That such events have their own Ruby Goldberg absurdity goes almost without saying. At some point, it all starts to become rather funny. That may be the point at which sanity begins either to save itself or to buckle and break down. That point at which one's sense of humor begins to reassert itself. And that's how he begins chapter 2 with everything that's happening with Gage. And yeah, I don't know, just based on as far as a rumination on the aspect of grief and horror and just how much somebody can take without breaking, I find that to be such a fascinating passage. Yeah, boy, I mean, I love going through the underground caverns in Lud, where Gasher has Jake. I love that scene. I think that's tremendous. I love the riddles back and forth with Blaine and the team. I love where they first show up in Topeka and you get all the little references to the Stand and Captain Trips, and yet we realize with the Nazcola and all that other stuff that this is a different universe and stuff. I also think it's very, very powerful with the confrontation with the big coffin killers. I'd say most of my favorite beats. I love the crazy psychedelic palaver with with the Dark Man and with Roland in book 1. I mean, yeah, I could just rattle off Dark Tower beats for quite a while, and it's just absolutely. Those are probably some of my favorite beats, aside from a few things in the Stand. Like I love the chapter in the Stand where they're talking about all of the different people who, it's only in the uncut version, all the different people who died in different ways that survived and were immune to Captain Trips and yet still passed away. Night Shift has a absolutely terrifying bit in it in the story Jerusalem's Lot, where dude finally goes to the unholy, evil church of darkness and like a literal earthquake transpires and it's Lovecraft as hell. I mean, yeah, once again, those are, that's something that I need to sit and ruminate about. You know, also Guard's drunk freak out in the Tommyknockers after the poetry reading. That is such a brilliant scene, but yet so tough to read, man. So, yeah, those are a few off the top of my head, everybody. And, I think I went off on a tangent once again. Original Desperation, Regulators cover art. Boy, I am definitely behind at this point. Stuck in a story. What story would you pick and why? Yeah, I think I know I did a video, Munster, about that, and it was called If I Could Be in a Sai King Story. So if you go to the Hail to Stephen King playlist, it's actually called Stephen King Focused Episodes. You can find all the fun stuff about that. Also, my current favorite cover art is, sadly, it's a book club, the first cover edition of it. Okay, I'm looking for names that I haven't seen in the chat thus far. Germ da Cruz says, what do you think of the 1991 Sometimes They Come Back TV movie adaptation? I like it. It's nowhere near as dark as the short story. Like the short story in Night Shift, the ritual that Homie does at the very end is so messed up, man, and it's really more so it just whittles it down to the dead kids having come back to torment him, as opposed to taking the story to a very, very just pitch black conclusion like you get in the written source material. Misery has no 4-letter words or cursing. Okay, well, I was unaware of that. Interesting. Okay, but it does deal with some really, really dark subject matter, CK2D. I would definitely contend that. Scarlet Gospels, yep, Chris Bethel giving me clarification there. Like I would probably die if I read Gerald's Game. Yeah, Gerald's Game is a rough one at times. The Ruins is awesome. Yes, it is. And the film is actually pretty good as well, I must admit. Probably the book with the least swears is The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Yeah, I know there's an F-bomb or two in it, though. I remember. There's a little bit of cursing. Pepsi drops some F-bombs in there, if I remember. RJ Price making it. A face I was definitely hopeful would be able to make an appearance. I'm at work zipping pizzas around Myrtle Beach, so I'll be in and out through this live feed. Fuego, what is your all-time favorite episode of Hail to Stephen King? Boy, I was still going through a few of my other personal favorites. Favorite friendships and greatest romances. Those were two that were not watched as much. I mentioned Music of the Dark Tower already. The 100th episode was really special to me. I've read everything Stephen King. That was a big one. All of his comics and my favorite King character. That was one that I haven't mentioned just yet. It was where I talked about Larry Underwood and just how much I identify with the demons that his character deals with. Fan interviews, I talked about that already. One of the ones where I just really poured my heart out a lot was an episode called How King Has Inspired Me Creatively and Personally. That was one of the ones where I just really went off the cuff and just gushed, man. And that's one that really genuinely means a lot to me. I don't know if it's the favorite. It's like, in some instances, it's like, how do you pick your favorite child, So I don't know if I could really say that of the 10 that I mentioned, there's one in particular that is an absolute favorite, because I've had so much fun coverage. I've done so much deep digging, into the sour, stony ground of my own heart. But yeah, that's one that really comes to mind now that I'm glad that I made mention of. How King has inspired me creatively and personally. So that's one that means a whole heck of a lot. Carrie wasn't too bad as far as language. Yeah, it really wasn't. That's a good point. Also, you just made me laugh. You're fine, dude. Also, I'm mainly sensitive towards a few darker themes. Yeah, King, when he's tackling some of those darker themes, it just doesn't. Sometimes it's good to work through those demons and just, kind of hang and be okay. Other times, I mean, I don't know. It's like opening a Pandora's box and letting that sort of subject matter and how it can potentially affect you. Start to work with Barker. Yeah, King's take on Hellraiser. That could be interesting. Also, thanks for making my entire weekend. So shucks, not a problem at all. Who would you like to see play Edgar in a Doomickey adaptation? Josh Brolin is who I imagined when reading, says Nick P. I would probably go a little bit older, but then again, he's getting older now, so it's tough, because originally I was thinking for Wireman, I was like, boy, it would have to be like Jerry Garcia. But do you know who my Wireman is? My Wireman? It's the dude. Yeah, it is most definitely the dude. Y'all know who I'm talking about. If you don't know, come on, man. We're talking an Oscar winner. We're talking Crazy Heart. We're talking Mr. Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges is my Wireman. And yeah, it would have to be more of a stoic counterbalance now, and it would have to be somebody who is about his age. And that's one that, I don't know, Wireman has always just sounded in my head, muchacho, to be the dude, or at least the equivalent of him. So if you were forced to be one of the beings from the Kingverse, which one would you prefer to become? One of the beings? I'm not sure if you mean like a character or if like something more of the supernatural variety monster. That's where I'm really kind of curious. I guess if anything, I would want... I'd want to be Flag. If I had to be a being, the crazy regeneration aspect, the fact that I could jump around, I guess that's, if I wasn't going to be a regular person, if I was going to be a being of some sort, yeah, I'd probably be, him and as many guys as and different things. Two-headed question, thoughts on Carrie the Musical? You could see any other Stephen King work adapted into a musical, what would it be? Holy shnikes. I've seen a few bootlegs of the Carrie musical. Carrie is actually the book of the month this month on Hail to Stephen King, for anybody who doesn't know. So here at the end of April, because it is celebrating its 45th anniversary this year. My goodness, has it been that long? Yeah, it's been that long. So at the end of the month, the next live stream on the final Saturday of the month is going to be all about Carrie. But yeah, I've only seen little bits of the musical bootlegged. I know there was an episode of Riverdale where they incorporated it. If I could think of something else to be a musical, based on the gothic nature, I think The Shining could be a musical. Even though I prefer Dr. Sleep, I think The Shining could be an interesting musical. There's the In Fuego office phone ringing. Boy, that is the first one that comes to mind. Honestly, The Shining is really. I don't know if I would want a Dark Tower musical, although I think there's, with the amount of music in the Dark Tower, I think you could do a Dark Tower musical. I mean, some people would maybe have mixed feelings about that. How about an Under the Dome musical? No, thank you, no, thank you. Yeah, I'd say The Shining. I feel like just the theatrical nature of it. That's my choice, unless they went for Dark Tower. So for me, it's crazy. We don't have some kind of adaptation of Doomickey or revival. The Lisi story happening. Honestly, we're at the tail end where so much has already been adapted or is in the process of being adapted. You know that I'm just waiting every single day at this point when I read all the trades. I'm waiting to hear about The Eyes of the Dragon. It's inevitable. I'm waiting for Doomickey to get the proper announcement. Revival, they tried announcing a few times, like I said earlier with Josh Boone, hasn't happened yet. Eddie Dean is my all-time favorite character. I can relate to, as they both struggle with bad addiction issues and so on. Yeah, I was more of a Bert fan, who was basically the equivalent of Eddie Dean in the old Ka-Tet, but I respect the heck out of both characters. The Real Purple Cow, another name that I haven't seen just yet. Hey, bro, love this channel, specifically Hail to Stephen King. Love to talk about my favorite author. It's a pleasure and an honor. Gil Hutchinson says, do you think Leland Gaunt is Randall Flagg? I always assumed yes, because Gaunt had many names just like Flagg, and I kind of don't want him to be. I've been championing for a long time that any sort of spin-off with Leland, whether it was a prequel or a sequel, would just warm my heart, because he is one of my favorite villains, and it's one of the most underrated Sai King stories. I don't know. Randall Flagg is enough people already, damn it. I don't know if I want him to be another character. He's Richard Ferris. He's Martin. He's the Walking Dude. He's so many different things. But the scene where Eddie kills Andy and Wolves. Okay. Next live hail will be at the Dixie Pig in the VIP room. Long pork on me. The fact that they did the Dixie Pig as a real place, at Comic-Con, and the movie was just. Guy Pearce is rolling. Yeah, that could have been really cool. Okay, got to go as 1:30 here, but love the stream. You have once again been awesome host, and hope everyone in the chat has a great night. Munster, thank you so very much, man. And I made note of some of those awesome subject matters that you threw together. Smells like Nirvana. I love your King coverage. Keep up the great work, Fuego. I do my best, and it's it's an awesome opportunity to be able to. I don't mind a little swearing and a couple of F-bombs, but my Lance, it was so awkward trying to read Pet Sematary at work. Yeah, well, I can see that, but that one I feel like the darkness of the subject matter is just so, oh boy. Do you think New Demons and Wizards album will be another King story? Brandon, I was really wondering about that, especially as much as I have been listening so much to that second album lately since I picked up that deluxe version of it. And The Wicked Witch is Dead. Like this, the slow songs are great. The burners, like the opening track, and I mean track 4 where he's singing about the beams are safe, my friends, long days and pleasant nights to you. I've been wanting to post that song. It's track 4 on there. It's oh man, it's so good. Favorite episodes are the Bachman one. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's an earlier episode, Malito. It was what was the title of it? Richard Bachman and the Book He Regrets. That was a really fun one. Yeah, all the night shift coverage was cool. Misery the musical, good call. Misery could be well. Actually, it's already been a stage play. They had they had the chick from Roseanne, Lori, something. It's eluding me, and then Bruce Willis, ironically. Yeah. As our faithful captured author, which is interesting. Boy, I'm trying so hard to get caught up here, and I'm not even sure how close. Okay, Finally, almost caught up. Yay, yay, yay. Cujo the Rock Opera. Sarah, I'm just really worried about the fact that this new Cujo that they're working on, which is like, they turned the word Cujo into an acronym. It's like cybernetic, you know, something, I don't know. It sounds like Man's Best Friend, that movie from the 90s that was like about a genetically altered dog that was really, really crap. Aspects of Flag, not necessarily Flag himself. Actually, the sex scenes really made it awkward with Pet Sematary. I kept praying no one would read over my shoulder as I skimmed. Yeah, but those are sweet moments kind of thing in contrast with, like, I mean, I'm assuming you haven't read the scene in It. That's weirder than anything King has put together. But, you know, honestly, King writes sex stuff in a very strange kind of like weird manner. I don't know. Just like in Mr. Mercedes where Hodges is getting down and stuff, I was just like, huh, I don't feel like I should be here for this. So I don't know. I can totally agree with you there. He's strange when he tackles those sort of topics. Just a wee bit. Just discovered you like a week ago, and I'm so stoked we have serious King coverage from a real fan. Oh, don't. Humbled and honored to be a part of the process and spreading the word. Yes, Larry Metcalf, I think. Yes, Mark, you were totally right. Sam Forsythe, I was wondering if you were going to make an appearance, Joe. So I'm reading Dreamcatcher. I'm about halfway through, and I'm confused as hell about what's going on. I did a video. It's not one of my favorite videos because of the fact that it was like the third or fourth one that I did, because I did my top 3 books and adaptations. It was like episode 2 or episode 3. And then I did my least favorites. And my 2 least favorite Stephen King books are Bag of Bones and Dreamcatcher. Man, Dreamcatcher, you can tell King wrote it when he was on all of the pain meds after the accident and almost dying, because that book is a mess. Book is an absolute mess. You know, I feel for Duddits. I like a little bit of the stuff in Derry, but the Pennywise lives. I mean, there's these little Easter eggs. The character of Kurtz is so over the top. It's just redonkulous. Yeah, the crap monsters. It's just, I don't know. I like the camaraderie of the friends. You know, I like Beebe. I don't know. I like aspects of it, but as far as Sai King books go, I feel like it shows that he was not in a good mindset at the time. He originally titled it Cancer, for God's sake. You know, it's my least favorite Stephen King book. I can at least appreciate the romantic aspect of Bag of Bones and not really much else. I don't like the discussion of the child, you know, custody things and, you know, the evil, you know, Mr. Burns in there type. I don't know. I really, really don't like Bag of Bones, but I feel like the difference is that Dreamcatcher is just a mess, and he wrote it freehand. And Sam, you're not gonna make any sense of it. And the Lawrence Kasdan adaptation is even worse than the book. So unfortunately, that's not one where I can give you some proper. Yes, okay. So Nick P actually looked up Canine Unit Joint Operations. That's that weird acronym of the long in development new take on Cujo. I don't know about that one, man. King is a better writer when he has this is where some people disagree. I feel like King was a much more interesting author in the 70s and 80s when he was boozing and drugging, okay? But I do feel like after he got sober, it took him a few books to find his voice, but once he did, the 90s stuff is pretty good. You know, I really like Needful Things. That's a sober book. I really like Gerald's Game and Dolores Claiborne. Those are sober books. I really appreciate Rose Madder. I think The Green Mile is a little overrated, personally. I'm not the biggest fan of Insomnia. Desperation and The Regulators are both good, but I feel like he found his sober stride a few years after the accident, a few years after finally finishing the saga, finishing The Dark Tower, because really, with the exception of Under the Dome, pretty much everything that he has written post-finishing the saga, I love Cell. I really like Lisi's story. Duma Key is one of my absolute favorites he's ever written. It's in my top 10. Not the biggest fan of Under the Dome, but it has its merits. 11/22/63 is one of the greatest things he's ever written. It was a book that he hinted at writing by mentioning the JFK assassination in so many different books over all the years. Went Through the Keyhole is one of my absolute favorite things in the Dark Tower saga. It's top 3 or 4 for me because it's in that just, I love the story within the story within the story. It rejoins our new Ka-Tet in that time. I love Young Roland stuff. With the exception of End of Watch, I love The Outsider, and the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. I love those books. Joyland is great. Revival is one of the greatest things he's ever written. So whereas I'm not as passionate about stuff like Bag of Bones and Dreamcatcher and Black House, and I enjoy Hearts in Atlantis but don't love it, Tom Gordon. So yeah, I would honestly contend that the weakest decade for Sai King is the 90s, actually. You know, I've thought about doing a ranking video of ranking King's output by decade, you know, which would probably go 70s, 80s, 2010s, 2000s, and 90s. But I just, since I already ranked all of the releases in each decade by decade, I just didn't really find as much of a point to that. But yeah, I feel like King struggled to find his voice sober for a little while, but then he caught his stride, especially in this past decade. Terrific stuff. The last 15 years or so. Okay. Mark Pearson says, shit weasels, dude, shit weasels. You liked it. And that's the thing, Mark. People, hey, it's subjective, man. I mean, that's everyone is entitled to their opinion on it. It's just that I don't hate that book, but it's my least favorite Sai King book. Flipping Man and the Weird Cujo. Jaime, how's it going, man? Says TJ with 7. Another name that I had yet to see. What is going on, yo? I'm very happy to have you make an appearance. Here, this is in the tail end of the discussion. We've been going for over an hour now, but hey, 150 episodes. I think the 100th episode was like, boy, hour and a half, something like that. But I'm going to be wrapping it up here very soon, so I'm glad for everybody who has made their way through. Okay, I agree with you on his addiction writing. Yeah, it's interesting and compelling stuff. It's a lot harsher and crazier. I don't know. Okay, here's another name that I had yet to see. Cam the Man 2288, with the success at the box office that it had, I really hope they reimagine it again, this time as a Netflix series where they can span the entire story over many, many episodes. I don't see that happening. That would be really cool. I think more so than anything else, take the Castle Rock approach and do it with Derry. Do a Derry TV series, okay? Let's focus on all of those other things that happened in Derry every 27 years, and let's just do maybe one season that takes place for 127-year, you know, installment, and then another place that let's get the crazy lumberjack stuff. Let's get the jazz club getting burned down. Let's get you know, the mobster fight. Let's get the egg, the Easter egg hunt, and all the death of those kids. I think that they could do. As you're hearing it right now from me first, I've mentioned this idea previously, but that is exactly how they could do a Derry TV series. Do each season focused around one of the big events and all of the smaller, minor, horrifying events that Bob Gray's Pennywise entity perpetuated. Someone needs to make that happen, damn it. Who's with me? Who's with me? Yeah, that's, God, if they don't even have to do it as a TV series. Do it as like a comic book or something. That could be amazing. But, I mean, yeah, if they did it on like an HBO or a Hulu or a Netflix or a Prime or something like that, that would be legit incredible. Curtis, so happy you're getting to say what's up, man. You're one of my favorites on the YOU the Ka-Tet. Yeah, I'm about to wrap things up, unfortunately, but very happy that you've at least got to poke in and say hi real quick. Okay, Karsten Roth, howdy, man. What's happening? I got to rank 2000s at the bottom. Hard. Yeah, the 2000s, it's between the 90s and the 2000s for my least favorite decade, but that's, yeah, in the 2010s, I mean, that's where he really kind of, he found his voice again a little bit more so, at least in my estimation. And thank you, Jacob, for that insight. Is Haven any good? I saw it on Netflix. Is it a good King adaptation? It's not a King adaptation. Haven is basically playing in the world of Stephen King. They use The Colorado Kid, which is one of his hard case crime little novella, but which is also getting that deluxe release later this year, May 7th, I believe it is. Yeah, talked about that at the top end of the video here. But yeah, it's really just playing in the sandbox and lots of Easter eggs, and that's about it. That's a show that, since Marcia has watched in its entirety, we have been talking about doing some season coverage of, especially since I want to do the Mr. Mercedes season coverage, finish the last couple seasons of Under the Dome. But yeah, if you're into King and you really know the stuff enough, Karsten, you would probably find some fun in it. The cast is pretty good. Forsyth says, yo, to the Ka-Tet too. Yeah, I had to join late. Well, we're glad you made an appearance, Sam. 90s has some solid work in there. Not all of it is my cup of tea, but I see. Yeah, well, hey, once again, it's subjective, Jacob. I mean, it's between the 90s and the 2000s for my least favorite output. But, you know, I mean, 70s and 80s were so strong, and I felt like the decade transition wasn't as strong in there. But yes, this past decade, the 2010s have been terrific, with the exception of End of Watch, which I had some problems with. But Wolf 2017, hi, how are you? Wolf, Wolf! I love your shirt. Night Shift is my favorite Stephen King book and was my first Stephen King book I actually fully read. Yeah, as far as the collections go, it's between Night Shift, Just After Sunset, and Bizarre Bad Dreams. But there's obviously good stuff in Skeleton Crew and Nightmares and Dreamscapes and Everything's Eventual. But yeah, my top 3 anthologies are Bizarre, Just After Sunset, and Night Shift. Night Shift is easily the #1. But okay, let's see. Doom and Key adaptation with King writing the screenplay. I'm just not sure about King writing that screenplay, sir. That's that video approach that I took, you know, the other day with Lisi's story. I don't know if it's as personal of one, but yeah, I kind of love that book. Where is it? Where is it? Netflix already has it. It's called Stranger Things. That's funny. Congratulations again on the big 150. Keep up the good work. Your enthusiasm is infectious. That's what I try to make it, Mark. And, you know, once again, hearing positive things like that helps me hopefully to duplicate the process. Favorite character so far, says Jake Hambrick, is Dale Barbara, Under the Dome. An interesting choice. Barbie. Yeah, the whole bunker mentality is one of the few fascinating things in that book for me. But yeah, we're nearing the end here, everybody. I must say, I've been going for what time is it now? Boy, for an hour and a half, just about. So I'm like, I am still live, hopefully, even if this is, come on, comments. The phone is, okay, there we go, back at it. Sorry, brief technical difficulty. The joys of this modern technology that we're oh so dependent upon, everybody. Okay, I have a love-hate relationship with Haven. Yeah, a lot of fans do, from what I've seen. That would be amazing. Yeah, Tales of Derry would be amazing. Fuego, congratulations on the big 150. Nick, thank you so very much. I'm going to stay valiant and keep doing this for as long as there is still fun Sai King discussion to have, which with such an immense tower of work there, it's yeah. I heard Eyes of the Dragon and Creep Show off Amazon. Wolf, good ideas there. Fuego, you are awesome. You were my oh, the hot sauce thing. That's a discussion for another day. That was painful, but hey, you know, doing silly things like that. It is what it is. Okay, making note to buy the deluxe edition of Colorado Kid. Yeah, it's literally pre-order on Amazon for like $10 right now. Very reasonable. So yeah, everybody, I guess that is up. Curtis is asking something, and he was somebody that I really wanted to stop in and say what's up with. What Bachman book would you recommend for somebody who hasn't read any of his Bachman material? It's got to be The Long Walk, although Roadwork hits me in the fields differently, you know. But Running Man is very solid. The one that I just can't recommend because I don't. It's well written, but I don't like it. Is Rage. I don't like Rage. I feel like Rage glorifies classroom youth violence, and that's why King, yeah, that's why he kind of regrets it, and that's why there's no other book of his that he has taken out of publication except for Rage. Rage is not in newer versions of the Bachman books. Thinner is actually really underrated in my estimation as well, but The Long Walk, that is the Bachman masterpiece. Yeah, Blaze is just okay. I'm not gonna really beat up on that one. So, C. Newton, thank you so very much for the congratulations. It's greatly appreciated. Series about the doorways using Tet Corp characters. That could be interesting. And you know what? Maybe if that Amazon Prime series gets ordered and we get more in the Dark Tower verse, we could really explore that properly. Because how many doors were there besides the Dixie Pig? Like, my God, they're all over the damn place. Sam Forsythe says, I thought I've seen all your King episodes, but you've obviously mentioned several I haven't seen. Time to check back through the archives. Yeah, and they're extensive archives. This is the 150th episode. So Rage is my favorite, Chris. And then, hey, that's the cool thing. It's all subjective, man. And he's a very interestingly worked character, the one who takes over that classroom setting. But I don't personally particularly care for him. Okay. My library had 6 serial novels of the Green Mile, and I was kind of shook because they're kind of hard to find. Yeah, I've got all 6 of those right there. That's how it was originally released, was serialized, and you had to wait like a couple months in between each installment, which was kind of cool. So my sister made the mistake of asking about the Bachman books and rage. She got a 15-minute lecture and was very concerned for my sanity. Yeah, that's it's an interesting one, but very excited for the Institute. I touched on it briefly, Curtis, at the very beginning. So that's obviously going to be the book of the month in September. And there's going to be further book of the month discussions. I have to wrap things up. I've been going for about 90 minutes here, and I do have editing and some work and stuff to do. But just to count down some of my favorite bits and moments once more, the pilot episode, Why You Should Read Stephen King, was a birthday thing. That was a pleasure. I love the Films That Forgot the Face of Their Father series. I love all the rankings I've done, all the anniversary coverage, greatest romances, favorite friendships. Those were some of my faves. Love the Dark Tower music episode. The panels I've had the blessed opportunity to do about Pet Sematary, about Stan, about the Dark Tower. Leading those was a pleasure and an honor. You know, I forgot to mention my Mist episode. I did an episode where I basically compared the Mist novella, so the book. I covered the Mist audio drama, which I tracked down on CD and listened to. So it's like full on a whole voice cast of people. It's got you know, sound effects and all that different stuff. Then I rewatched the film, the Darabont film, which is my favorite Stephen King adaptation. And I prefer it in black and white because it makes the CGI look not quite as fake, even though the CGI creatures are really good in that. Terrific ending. And then I watched the Mist TV series, which at first I hated, but as I got deeper into it, I actually greatly appreciate it. I wouldn't say I recommend it like highly or anything like that, but I kind of got the vibe of what they were doing, and I was in some ways sad that it wasn't able to continue. So that was an episode that I put a lot of work into, near and dear to my heart. It was all the incarnations of the Mist, comparing them and discussing them. The episodes about my Stephen King collection and just all of the stuff that I've put into trying to amass all of this coolness. All of his comics and my favorite King character, that was another one. The moment where I read everything, where I finished Sleeping Beauties. I've read everything Sai King. That was a favorite. I mentioned Music of the Dark Tower. I mentioned the 100th episode where there was, you know, there was just so much cool featured artwork, and I gave shout outs to so many peeps in the Facebook Ka-Tet and stuff like that. Yeah, really cool stuff. My Dark Tower reading guide. So for the Dark Tower and all the tie-in novels and stuff and stories, that's a favorite of mine. How King has inspired me creatively and personally. And then my pilgrimage, the fan interviews when I went out to see Stephen King in the Chicago area. That was just a big, big blessing, y'all. So I'm going to be wrapping things up now. I haven't just been talking the whole time, and I just need to take a drink of some water there. I got my South Park up there, and I just have been ranting and raving the entire time. So throughout the rest of the year, there's so many awesome topics that I'm excited to cover. I'm still going to be doing coverage at some point of Ghost Brothers of Darkland County, which is the musical that King put together with John Mellencamp and T-Bone Burnett, I want to say. That's going to be a cool episode. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing coverage of the rest of Under the Dome, Mr. Mercedes. We're going to do some Haven coverage. And I have actually never watched the Dead Zone TV series in its entirety. I've seen a few episodes here and there. I'm going to start some coverage on that. We're going to do some more Films That Forgot the Face of Their Father, the sequels to The Mangler, Children of the Corn. There's still a few anthology installment adaptations that I want to cover. There's the Outer Limits, the Revelations of Becca Paulson. There is Monsters episode called The Moving Finger, which was a short from Nightmares and Dreamscapes, I want to say. And then there's actually an interesting little film called Quicksilver Highway that adapted a Clive Barker story and then adapted King's Chattering Teeth. And so that's going to be another review that I do. That's probably going to be a double header of Barker at the Moon / Hail to Stephen King. So that'll be a crossover episode of fun. But the rest of the year, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, we have Dr. Sleep. We have, you know, the Colorado Kid re-release. We have the Institute coming out September 10th. Season 2 of Castle Rock. Season 3 of Mr. Mercedes. It Chapter 2 on September 6th. Nosferatu by Joe Hill coming on June 2nd. We have Full Throttle, which is going to finally put into print In the Tall Grass and Throttle, King's collaborations with his son Joe. That comes out on audiobook September 30th and in printed hardback October 1st. We still have Netflix, Lock and Key, and In the Tall Grass. We still have the Creep Show adaptation. Man, holy smokes, there's so much going down. But yes, this has been fine palaver with all of you. So supremely appreciated, and so happy to have had you here along for this ride with me, and there's a lot more to come. So I have been Jaime and Fuego. You can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me here on YouTube with my recently relaunched with new coverage in Fuego-tainment. So that is my personal YouTube channel where I cover non-horror stuff. I'm going to be starting some book coverage on there. I'm going to, do a non-horror, maybe like sci-fi or drama or whatever bit of coverage monthly. The Dune adaptation is one that I'm very much excited about. So that's going to be something I cover at one point. But it is predominantly videos covering both film and television. So I reviewed all of the Best Picture nominations at the Oscars earlier this year. I try to get at least one, sometimes two different new film reviews out every week. But I'm also doing Star Wars coverage, one film a month leading all the way up to episode 9. I'm even going to do those damn Ewok movies, man, and the Christmas special. I'm going to do some Clone Wars coverage. Later this month, it's going to be Revenge of the Sith, and I'm working my way through in chronological order, timeline order, so not in the release order. I'm even thinking, man, I might do some Dark Empire. I might do some Shadows of the Empire, which is a great video game, and a side story, involving bounty hunters and took place in between Empire and Jedi. It's not canon anymore. Now it's Legends, but, they can still pick and choose that kind of stuff. So if you want to see coverage beyond the scarific, just jump over on YouTube. Just search in Fuego-tainment or just go to youtube.com/Jaime and Fuego, just like I am on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and stuff. So if you were down with this video, like, share, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, do all that jazz. It is supremely appreciated. I've said honored and blessed and humbled and all of these different things various times. I just keep beating it like a red-headed dead horse, but it is because I am genuinely so supremely appreciative for all of you just taking the time to hang out and hear me wax, sometimes intellectually, about El Rey, Sai King, my favorite author. If you haven't subscribed here on The Horror Show, obviously, please do and ring the bell so that you get notifications about any time we put up at least one, sometimes two new videos every day. Cecil and I just got done doing Phoenix Film Festival coverage and the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival. I ended up between Fuego-tainment and The Horror Show watching almost 40 movies. I watched 38 films in the span of those 10 days. Just Saturday, I watched 7 movies, 9 a.m. until midnight. I was at the theater, but man, doing what I love. And once again, such a privilege to be able to cover that event. And, thanks to Jason Carney, Monty Yazzie, and from Allied, which is the promotion people, Patrick. Awesome folks over there. So if you have not heard of the Hail to Stephen King Facebook group, that is where we have a very closely knit Ka-Tet and we share palaver on a daily basis. I've been trying to think of more ways to get everybody involved. I'm thinking I want to do something. I was trying to make Tower Tuesday a thing, hashtag Tower Tuesday. I was trying to make Pennywise Wednesday a thing at one particular point. I'm thinking I want to start doing Anthology Thursday, where I just take a different anthology entry, like one of those short stories, and I'm just like, hey, have you guys ever read anything about this? So stuff that I wouldn't be able to cover for an anniversary or something of that nature. I'm thinking I want to do something like that. What do you guys think? Anthology Thursday? Is that cool? Could it maybe bring to light a short story that you haven't heard about? I think that would be rad status. So yeah, everybody, should I check the comments at least just once more as I'm in the midst of our farewell? But yeah, if you have any interest in sharing palaver with the Ka-Tet, I am the admin and the moderator, the sole one that we have. So yeah, if you have any interest in actually going to Facebook for some sort of interaction, that's really what I go on Facebook to do. Everything else is just linked up to my different accounts on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. But much love, Fuego, Malito. Gracias. Bueno, grazie. Thank you so much, man. Mark Pearson, awesome show. I love the live streams. Hope all of you have a good night. Until next time, peeps. Take it easy. Mucho love. Same to you as well, good sir. Rob, much love to you, man. Shout out, yo. I hope you have a wonderful night. Sarah, you as well. Thank you so much for the questions and inquiries. It was very, very cool. Curtis, I'm glad you got to at least pop in for a little while, man. Nosferatu and In the Tall Grass are presumably going to be awesome. Karsten, thank you so much. You have a good one as well. And Tiff Todd, I also vote yes for Anthology Thursday. Anibel Riveros, great stream, Jaime. Can't wait for more content. And yes, everybody, I guess I'm going to give my typical sign-off now. So until the Wheel of Ka comes around once more, I say hasta luego, sin amigos, and constant readers and viewers alike say thank you. I hope that we can share more palavers sooner rather than later. And until that instance occurs, remember to stay scared. And read Sai King. Check out some anthologies, man. Night Shift, Bizarre Bad Dreams, Just After Sunset. All right, y'all. This was wonderful. I am super stoked for 50 more episodes and just more palaver with all of you. So I'm gonna say peace and we're out.